The camera opens on a quiet Hawkins street, older, emptier, almost peaceful. But from the very first frame, the Stranger Things Season 6 concept trailer makes one thing clear. This piece is a lie. In this video, we're diving deep into a reimagined future for the Stranger Things universe. A fan-made Season 6 that asks a haunting question. What if Eleven's sacrifice didn't end the war? It just pushed it into the shadows. Today, I'll break down this concept as if it were a real continuation of the series. The story, the character arcs, the themes, the visuals, and whether this version of Season 6 actually feels worthy of the world the Duffers created. Think of this as a mix between a cinematic recap, a critical review, and a what-if story brought to life. The trailer immediately positions us in a post-Hawkins world, where the town and its people have emotionally moved on, or at least they're pretending to. The voiceover sets the tone. We spent so long trying to survive, we never learned how to live. This line perfectly captures the emotional hangover of a cast that grew up fighting monsters instead of learning how to be normal kids. In this concept, the world believes Eleven is gone, a martyr who closed the door between dimensions and paid the ultimate price. But the twist is that she's alive, hidden away under Jim Hopper's protection, recovering in secrecy like a living ghost of a dead war. Instead of Hawkins' sheriff who saves the day, Hopper becomes something else here, the guardian of a dangerous secret the world can never know. I really like how this idea reframes the ending of the original story. Rather than treating the finale as a clean victory, Season 6 turns it into a fragile pause. The Upside Down is believed destroyed, but its influence still bleeds into reality in ways people don't notice, or don't want to. That subtle tension between we're safe now and we all know we're lying to ourselves gives the story a mature, almost melancholic tone. Eleven's new role, from weapon to beginning. One of the most powerful lines in the trailer comes from Eleven herself. I thought I was made to end things, but maybe I was made to begin them. That single sentence tells you everything about her new arc in this imagined Season 6. For most of Stranger Things, Eleven has been treated like a nuclear option. Unleash her, save the day, pay the price. But this concept flips that idea. Here, she's not just the weapon that ended the original war, she's the key to what comes next. A bridge between the world that was and a larger universe that's only now revealing itself. The trailer's description expands on this. Eleven is in isolation, trying to recover from both physical trauma and a still unstable connection to forces that everyone assumed were gone. Her powers aren't just returning, they're evolving, becoming unpredictable, hinting that the destruction of the Upside Down didn't just remove a threat, it changed her at a fundamental level. This opens up some fascinating story possibilities. Eleven struggling with the fear that using her powers might reawaken whatever's left behind. Hopper torn between protecting her and realizing that the world might need her again, whether he likes it or not. The emotional conflict of a girl who finally died for the world, now forced to choose whether to step back into the light or stay hidden forever. Instead of the simple, one last battle trope, this approach leans into identity, purpose, and legacy. Is Eleven the end of an old story or the beginning of a new one? Hopper. From sheriff to shield. Jim Hopper's role in this concept trailer is one of the standout elements. He's not the small-town cop anymore. He's the last wall between Eleven and a world that would either worship her, weaponize her, or destroy her. The description talks about his role evolving from guardian to defiant shield, and that phrasing fits him perfectly. We can imagine a Hopper who's seen too much: Russian labs, interdimensional warfare, losing and finding Elle over and over, finally deciding that this time, the fight doesn't get to take her away again. In a full Season 6 built on this idea, Hopper's arc could revolve around accepting that he can't freeze time and keep Eleven hidden forever. Facing new government or corporate forces desperate to control what's left of the Upside Down's power. Wrestling with the guilt of keeping the truth about her survival from the rest of the group. Emotionally, the trailer hints at that familiar blend of rough exterior and broken tenderness that defines Hopper. His protectiveness isn't just heroic, it's almost desperate. That quality would give any reunion with the old crew a lot of emotional weight. They didn't just lose 11, they lost Hopper too in a way. The group grows up, separate futures, shared ghosts. One clever narrative choice in this concept is that the original group is now scattered, living separate lives, stepping into different futures. They're older, not just in appearance, but in the way they talk and move. The line, "Guess we're not the kids anymore," hits like a quiet punch. A reminder that nostalgia is over, adulthood is here. We're not shown every character's path, but the idea of everyone moving away from Hawkins while still carrying its scars is strong. Mike trying to hold on to the stories of what they went through, terrified the world will forget, while still feeling that lingering connection to something beyond normal reality, even if the Upside Down is gone. Max, Lucas, Dustin, and the others trying to live new lives, constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. The trailer's broader description says, the mythology expands into unfamiliar territories, new locations, and fresh conspiracies. That suggests this season 6 wouldn't just stay in Hawkins. It would turn Stranger Things into more of a global, or at least national story, with disturbances popping up far from Indiana. That expansion feels like a natural evolution. The Upside Down was never just a local problem, it was a crack in reality. Still, the emotional core remains the same. No matter how far the characters run, every strange event, every unexplained nightmare, every psychic echo pulls them back toward the same conclusion. Hawkins was only the beginning. What's interesting about this concept is that it doesn't just resurrect Vecna or the Mind Flayer in a simple way. Instead, the focus is on the idea that the consequences of closing the door between worlds might be more dangerous than leaving it open. The fan-made material around Season 6 concept trailers talks about lingering influence of the Upside Down despite its supposed destruction, psychic echoes, disturbances, and new anomalies that don't follow the old rules. The idea that some powerful entity or force is still watching, waiting, or reshaping reality from the shadows. Rather than another straightforward monster, this approach leans into mystery and cosmic horror. It implies that when 11 sealed the Upside Down, she didn't kill the enemy. She changed its form, maybe even fused a part of it with herself. That opens the door to story beats where the threat isn't just out there, it's inside the characters, inside memories, inside the fabric of their world. The description from another Season 6 concept trailer talks about Vecna surviving in the shadows, feeding on fear and time itself, turning the new conflict into a reckoning with the past instead of a simple rematch. That idea meshes well with what we see here. A war that never ended, just learned how to hide. The emotional spine of this concept, Season 6, is built around 3 themes: memory, legacy, and beginnings. Memory shows up in how the characters talk about their past. The trailer mentions telling stories so we remember why we fought, which suggests that their history with the Upside Down is at risk of being buried. In a world desperate to move on, remembering becomes an act of resistance. Legacy is woven into Eleven's evolution. She's no longer just the girl from the lab or the hero who saved Hawkins. She's the one who has to decide what kind of world comes after all of this. Is her legacy sacrifice, or is it rebuilding? Beginnings are the most hopeful and surprising theme here. Instead of closing on "it's finally over," the concept leans into maybe this is where it truly starts. By turning the end of the original series into the first chapter of a new era, Season 6 becomes less about nostalgia and more about growth, emotional, narrative, and even cosmic. It's a bold move because it risks undoing the sense of finality many fans want, but it also respects the idea that trauma doesn't just vanish when the credits roll. People have to learn how to live after surviving the impossible. Even though this is a fan-made concept trailer, it leans into the visual language of Stranger Things in smart ways. Moody lighting, empty roads, flickering lights, and close-up shots of characters processing emotions more than reacting to jump scares. The tone feels quieter, more reflective, like a world exhaling after holding its breath for too long, and realizing the air is still poison. The creator mentions using AI, effects, and sound design to build a cinematic reimagining of the Stranger Things universe. That shows in the pacing. Rather than throwing monsters at us immediately, the trailer uses voiceover, music, and fragments of dialogue to build a sense of uneasy calm. Lines like, "For the first time, I'm not scared," and "I'll choose you every lifetime," give the trailer a romantic and emotional warmth that contrasts nicely with the lingering horror elements. It feels less like a pure horror season and more like a dark, emotional epilogue that's slowly turning into a new saga. Story potential, what a full season could explore. If this concept were expanded into a full season 6, there's a lot of fertile ground to explore. 11 and Hopper off-grid, forced back into the open when her powers start affecting the world around them in unpredictable ways. The old group living separate lives, slowly discovering connected anomalies in different places that hint at a coordinated, unseen enemy. A new organization, government, corporate, or cult-like, hunting for traces of upside-down energy, seeing 11 as the ultimate prize. Flashbacks and visions showing that closing the gate didn't erase the upside down, it rewired it, turning reality itself into a battlefield. An emotional reunion where the group must decide whether to expose the truth about 11's survival or keep the lie alive to protect her. Structurally, the season could mirror the early days of Stranger Things. Small disturbances slowly revealing a bigger conspiracy, but layered with the maturity, history, and guilt of characters who already saved the world once. The difference now is that they're not stumbling into the unknown. They know exactly how bad things can get, and that knowledge is its own kind of horror. As a fan-made idea, this Season 6 concept has some genuine strengths. It respects the emotional weight of 11's sacrifice while refusing to treat it as a neat ending. It gives Hopper a powerful, grounded role as protector in a world that wants to move on too quickly. It ages the characters naturally, leaning into adulthood, distance, and the struggle to live normal lives after supernatural trauma. It expands the mythology outward instead of recycling Hawkins and the same threats over and over. Bringing back the upside down in any form always risks undermining the finality of the original ending if not handled carefully. Turning 11 into both the key and the battleground could over-centralize the story and sideline the rest of the cast if not balanced well. Pushing too far into global conspiracies or new locations might dilute the intimate, small-town charm that defines Stranger Things. Still, as a concept, it feels surprisingly coherent and emotionally thoughtful. It doesn't just scream one more season, it asks, what happens to heroes after the world stops watching? Closing, is this a Season 6 we'd want? So does this Stranger Things Season 6 concept work as a believable continuation of the story? In many ways, yes. It treats the end of the Upside Down not as a clean victory, but as a fault line running under the rest of the characters' lives. It reframes 11 from a living weapon into a symbol of transition, from ending to beginning. It gives Hopper a deeply human mission: protect the girl who saved the world from a world that doesn't know what to do with her. Most importantly, it keeps the heart of Stranger Things intact. Found family, painful growing up, and the idea that darkness doesn't win as long as people choose each other, over and over again. That final line, "I'll choose you every lifetime," isn't just romantic. It's the thesis of the entire show condensed into one promise. As a fan-made vision of what could come after the official finale, this Season 6 trailer succeeds in what it sets out to do. It doesn't try to replace canon, it tries to extend the emotional journey in a way that feels honest, bittersweet, and strangely hopeful. If the Stranger Things universe ever did decide to move beyond its original ending, an approach like this, rooted in memory, consequence, and new beginnings, would be a powerful way to step back into the dark.